Good afternoon. If anybody's here, hi, how you doing? Feel free to say hi, or if you just want to hang out and don't want to comment, of course, that's great. Just happy to have you here. And if you're watching it back later, well, you can leave a comment in, you know, non-live because I have not yet mastered time travel. Kristen, I will be back in just a second. Look what came in the mail today. My paperweight a week earlier than expected. Abby Jean is here. Hey, Abby Jean. Hey, Kristen. I got my paperweight, which I have not even opened yet. We had like a little confusion about things being delivered and not delivered and misdelivered. And it was all very stressful. It all worked out. Everybody got what they were supposed to. But I'm still kind of discombobulated. Barkity, Barkity. I don't have any puppies handy. I'll get them I'll get one during There's all this motion. I just heard some bumping around. The hot Viking is here mowing the lawn. I actually spoke to him today. He parked in front of our mailbox, which is what he usually does. But we're expecting some mail, so I had to go out and ask him if he would kindly relocate to the driveway, which he was very, very gracious about doing. So I did get to talk to the hot Viking. Yes, paperweight, Barkity. And Abby Jean says, yay, you got a Kindle. Awesome. I already had a Kindle. I don't know where I put it. I had one. It was old and the screen was like a little janky. It had like a couple of broken pixels. So it looked like there was a perpetual ink spot on the books I was reading, which was a little more realistic to the in-print reading experience, except no matter how many times I turned a page, that little ink spot was there. So exciting, says Kristen. Maybe if you want to do a live stream in the next couple of days, maybe you can we can hang out live and you can tell me how to use it, how to set it up, or not. Just a thought. Speaking of lives, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, so a little less than 5 hours from now, tea and biscuits with B and Tara. I always want to call it biscuits and tea with Tara and B, but it's not. It doesn't rhyme. They're having sprints tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. So like I said, just about 5 hours time. So I'm gonna try to do this one a little short so that, not I want to attend those sprints and I want to have some energy for interacting. So I don't want to, and I know there's a lot of overlap. So I wanted to try to maybe do this one, not go so long today, but we do have these books to get through. Hey, everyone, says Lisa. Look what came in the mail today. It's my Kindle Paperweight, a week early. If you didn't know, says Abby Jean, I think you can get your fanfic on your Kindle if you're interested. I know you can at least get fanfics on your Kindle mobile app because I have done it. Yeah, I think there's like an EPUB feature, at least on AO3, but I actually kind of prefer to read them on my laptop. This is really more for whatchamacallums, eARCs and Kindle Unlimited. But maybe I'll find that I like it so much because this is Paperwhite, so it's self-illuminating. My old one is, I don't know, it's probably like 15 years old or something like that. It is not self-illuminating. Oh, says Lisa, good to know about sprints. Yes, that's at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. Pacific. Yes. So I'm, like I said, I don't I don't want to go too long with this, although I would like to try to get my bracket done. How did I know you would say that, laughs Abby Jean. I'm guessing that's about like preferring to read fan fiction on my computer. Although sometimes I like to read eARCs on my computer because if I need to look stuff up, it was especially relevant when I was a couple of books I was reading that were nonfiction. It was nice to just be able to open up a different tab and do stuff. 4 p.m. my time, says Kristen. Yes, Pacific 4 p.m. Now, this was something I meant to incorporate last week when we did brackets, and I forgot, which was I had picked up a Superromance at a library sale the other day. That sound is the Hot Viking mowing. Thank you, Hot Viking. And it is called She's Far From Hollywood, and it's by Joe McNally. So it is going to join our bracket already in progress. And I want to do the first first elimination before our 10 minutes of yuck, because like I said, I'd like to try to get as much of these brackets done in as fairly short amount of time because of the sprints today. So what we're doing first is we are going to start with mailman character's first name. Okay, so just the vibes of the first name. Caleb or Warren? Caleb or Warren? Abby Jean wants Warren. Oh, Warren, I love you so. Okay, we've got one vote for Warren and one vote for Caleb. I have this lovely top, but I'm very warm today. So the filmy overshirt is coming off and I'm in my tank. Okay, Caleb. Okay, so we have 3 votes for Caleb and 1 for Warren, and another for Caleb. So 4 votes for Caleb, 1 for Warren. So sorry, Warren. We're going with Caleb. Oh, wait. And the next face-off is Burke, B-U-R-K-E, versus Patrick. Burke, B-U-R-K-E, or Patrick. Abby Jean's bargain counter argument, OnlyFans. I'm not even wearing socks. Although my hair is doing its own thing there. Burke, says Abby Jean. Patrick, says Kristen. Oh my gosh. Girls, you're both pretty. Please don't argue. Stop arguing. Okay. Gwen's here. Hey, Gwen. Both are horrible. Yes. I kind of like Patrick a little bit better than Burke personally, but you know, Burke, we've got 3 for Burke and 1 for Patrick and 1 for no can do. Have to agree. Yes, Burke or Patrick. Patrick's not so bad. Burke, I don't really mind Burke. It's more of a last name, but it seems like the Burkes have it. So sorry, Patrick. Better luck next time. Okay. And now let's see if we can do a little bit better. Derek, D-E-R-E-K, Derek, or Bill. Derek or Bill? Derek or Bill? Bill was kind of an unusual mailman character name even in the 80s. Derek, says Abby Jean, and Lisa are both like Derek. Thornwick is like Derek. Derek has it. Sorry, Bill. Okay. Next up, Boyd, B-O-Y-D. Oh, wait, Derek and Bill. We have 1 vote for Bill and a bunch for Derek. Oh, and yeah, she says they're usually Will. Yeah. Bill. Bill's like a high school principal. Okay, Boyd, B-O-Y-D, or Matt, M-A-T-T. Matt, Boyd, Matt. Matt Boyd. I think he was a TA in one of my graduate programs. So Matt or Boyd? Matt. 3 for Matt. Anyone else want to weigh in? Boyd. Barkety. So far we have 3 for Matt, 1 for Boyd. Anybody else want to weigh in before we move on to the next head-to-head matchup? Okay, we're going to go with Matt then. Sorry, Boyd. Okay, moving right along. We have Adam or Dutch. Dutch. I guess it's a nickname, probably. Dutch or Adam. Oh, we had another vote for Boyd. It is 3-2. So unless somebody wants to weigh in for another Boyd, then if somebody weighs in with a vote for Boyd, it'll be tied, and then Boyd can actually advance to the next round. Dutch, and Adam, and Ad. Okay, 2 for Dutch, 2 for Adam. Anybody want to? Anybody want to weigh in on Dutch versus Adam? Ooh, it looks like Wyoming might be Dutch, says Wyoming. Okay. So we got Dutch, I think we've got, those are both, I kind of like both of those names. Dutch. So we got 3 for Dutch and 2 for Adam. One more. Stormy's here. Hey, Storm. We're doing head-to-head first names of the male main characters, and right now we're voting on Dutch, D-U-T-C-H, I'm guessing it's a nickname, or Adam. And I think right now Dutch is ahead. But if you want to weigh in for Adam, we've already gone through about 4 pairs. So we're doing this before the 10 minutes of yuck, because I want to do a relatively short live stream today because Tara and B are doing a live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern. So Dutch or Adam, it looks like the Dutches have it. Okay. Both are fine names. Yep. One more for Dutch. Okay. Thank you, Storm. Okay. And now we have Brad and Clark. Clark or Brad? Brad or Clark? Clark, Brad, Clark. Okay, so right now it looks like we have 1, 2, 3. 3 for Clark and 2 for Brad. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4 for Clark. So these are contemporaries for the 8. My glasses. It's a fashion statement. I'm all about asymmetry. Yes, these are from the 80s. But like I said, even Bill in the 80s, that would not have been a typical romance hero's name. So we've got, what do we end up with? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Clark, and it looks like only 2 for Brad. Okay. Clark's moving on. Yes. Although one of these is from 2017, the one I showed at the beginning of the live stream that I had forgotten to put in before. But it was just as well because we had an odd number until I remembered about that book. So now we have an even number, so this will work. We have. So this is one we haven't voted on yet. What is this dude's name? Cole, C-O-L-E, and Dane, D-A-N-E. Dane or Cole? Cole or Dane? Oh, Cole, I love you so. Cole, Dane, 2 for Dane, 1 for Cole. And 2 for Cole, 2 for Dane. And I like both of these, says Abby Jean, but you already voted for Dane. Yeah, they're both good. Dane, okay, it looks like the Danes have it, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Danes and 2 Coles. Okay, so Dane gets to advance. Incidentally, Cole was from that more recent one. That was from 2017. The one that I just, like I said, I just found it after last week's live stream. I'd already bought it, but it was on my cart of books that I haven't hauled yet or put on my Goodreads. Okay, moving right along. Carl, Carl, and Wes, Wes, Wes or Carl. I had friends in high school who had, I had one friend whose dad's name was Wes and another one whose dad's name was Carl. Carl or Wes? Wes or Carl? Carl, says Abby Jean. Wes. It's not West with a T, it's Wes, Wes. But yeah, Wes. Okay, so we have one each for Carl and Wes, another one for Wes, and another one for Carl. So 2 Carls, 2 Wesses. So we're tied at the moment. Sturm says Carl. Anybody else want to vote before we move on? I don't want to keep it open too long because we've got 1, 2, 3 for Carl and 2 for Wes. So unless nobody else is, oh, 1 more for Wes. Gwen says Wes. So that's 3 for Carl and 3 for Wes. It's the mama needs to read romance curse. It's a tie. I can always advance both of them. In fact, I'm going to do that. We're advancing both of them. Both Carl and Wes, solid names. They both advance. And now we have Yale, Y-L-E, Y-A-L-E, like the university, which I have been to. And Jason or Yale? Sock, why don't you vote? Because the whole point is that I'm outsourcing my decisions. Although on this one, if there is a tie, I will vote for Yale because I went to Yale, but, you know, Jason says Storm. Jason, Yale from Abby. So we've got 2 Jasons, 2 Yales. I'm only going to vote for Yale if there's, for a tie break purposes, if it becomes necessary. But right now we've got 2 for Jason and 1, 2, 3 for Yale. But we still have some people who could totally vote if they wanted to. Yale. Stand, old Ivy. At least it's not Yale versus Eli. Eli is a nickname for Yale because Yale is named Yale because a man who lived in the UK, in England, and never came to North America, left his library to whatever Yale was called before it was called Yale. His name was Elihu Yale, Eli for short. And he left his library, which at the time, that was like, it was just his books. And I think he also left some money for like as well, but it was basically the real value was in the books. So they renamed the university in his honor. And in fact, there's also a town near here called Yalesville. So where are you headed? Yalesville, baby. So it's Yale. It is Yale. And 1 more head to head, and then we will do 10 minutes of yuck. Okay. We have Daniel and Cal, C-A-L versus Daniel. Cal versus Daniel. Daniel versus Cal. Cal, 3 votes for Cal so far. Four votes for Cal, 5 votes for Cal. Woohoo! I think at this point it becomes a numerical impossibility for anybody else to win. So Cal advances to the next round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cal. Ooh, Cal, I love you so. Okay, that is the first lightning round completed. Cal gives cowboy vibes. I don't think he actually is a cowboy, but no, he's not. But, you know. Okay, so we're ready to do our 10 minutes of yuck. And when we come back, we're going to go with Gwen's suggestion from last week, which is a location. Location. So Now we are going to do 10 minutes of yucks. So basically going until half past. So sprinting until ah, and let me get the link for the radio station. The River 1059, variety from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They really don't play a whole lot of 90s, but you know. Paste, return, and I will see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, it's time to come back. We're back. We're back. I got my shirt back on. Very exciting. Okay, last time we ended up with an odd number because of the tie. So we're going to start off with a three-way choice among Boston, Nova Scotia, and Nevada. So that would be the city of Boston, the province of Nova Scotia, or the state of Nevada. Okay, we've got a vote for Boston and a vote for Nova Scotia. Boston, 2 for Boston, 1 for Nova Scotia, 1 for Nevada. So Boston's ahead with 2. But there's still plenty of room for Nova Scotia and Nevada. Boston. Okay, so now we have 3 for Boston, 1 each for Nova Scotia and Nevada. Okay, I'm going to call it for Boston. Boom! Okay, so Boston. Okay, and then we have those 2 locations are too similar. We have Indiana or Montana. Indiana or Montana. What did I just do? Montana, Montana, Indiana. Oh, 2 each for Montana and Indiana. Okay. So, oh, now we're up to 3 for Montana and 2 for Indiana. So yeah, we have Lisa, Kristen, and Gwen are Montana, and Storm and Abby Jean are Indiana. Looks like Montana's pulled ahead, unless, yeah. Okay, so it looks like Montana. Lovely. This is okay. Now we have Arizona or Washington State. Arizona, Washington State, you tell me. Washington, Washington, Washington. 3 for Washington. 4 for Washington. Okay, Washington has it. And Vermont or San Francisco? Vermont or San Francisco? Okay. Vermont from Lisa and Kristen both say Vermont. So it's Vermont or San Francisco. San Francisco might be fun for you, says Abby Jean. Well, it has been in the past. Very cold there in the summer, though. I have been to there's many San Francisco Giants games. 2 in Candlestick Park and 2 in AT&T Park, which is, I don't think, called AT&T Park anymore. But anyway, so we have 2 for Vermont and 1 for San Francisco. Vermont was fun for me, too. I've been to Vermont. It was a good time there. I had a good time in, yeah, very different places, but I enjoyed them both. 2 for Vermont, 1 for San Francisco. Anybody else? Anyone? Anyone? Feeler? Okay, we're going to go with Vermont for now. And finally, we have... Okay, one of these is Cape Cod. The other one is unspecified. I read the first few pages and I couldn't get a sense of where it takes place. However, the overall setting, I don't know the location specifically, but it's a high school. I mean, she's a teacher or guidance counselor or something, but it's set in a high school because the adults are, the main characters work for the high school. So it's a school setting, but faculty rather than students. And then the other one is Cape Cod. Cape Cod, says Abby Jean. Nice. Had a good time in Cape Cod too. I've been everywhere, man. Cape Cod. So we got 2 for Cape Cod, 3 for Cape Cod, 4 for Cape Cod. Okay, Cape Cod it is. And there we go. That was that round. And now we are down to, okay, we still ended up with, even though I did a Storm wanted the school setting. Sorry, 4 for Cape Cod and 1 for school setting. For some reason, we ended up with an odd number again. I don't know how I keep doing that. Oh, I guess we had sets of 10. I don't know. A set of 10. So we have an odd number. So we're going to do a quick elimination. I'm just going to remind you of what the 5 survivors are, and you tell me one to eliminate. So we're looking for an elimination here. So we've got Cape Cod, Washington State, Montana, Boston, and Vermont. So just please vote for one to get rid of. Yeah, from the tie, exactly. Well, the tie was before, but yeah, it just, yeah. I mishandled that situation. Anyway, so we're looking to eliminate one of Washington State, Montana, Boston, Vermont, or Cape Cod. Okay, so this is, remember, you're voting to get rid of it, not to keep it. So we're getting rid of Montana, says Abby Jean. Storm says Washington. Kristen says Washington, and Lisa says Washington. So we've got 3 votes to get rid of Washington State, and 1 for Montana, and 1 for Boston. 2 for Boston, 1 for Montana, and 3 for Washington. Okay, Washington it is. So that's going to be the one we lose this time around. Don't worry, we're going to come back to these. I mean, I own these books, so I will be reading them all. Okay, so we have 4 left. Do we want to do like a half-an-hour sprint and then come back to the final 4, or do you want to just press on through, break on through to the other side? If we break on through to the other side and actually make a selection, I can spend the next sprint actually reading the book and let you know. Sounds good, says Abby Jean. Thanks, Abby Jean. Thanks. What did you say? It's always the first one. So the first one, I think, is doing a sprint, and the second choice was break on through to the other side. Sprint. Okay. Okay, people want sprints. So we're going to sprint until 10 minutes past the hour. I'm fine with either, says Lisa. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and sprint. We're going to 10 minutes sprinting until... Wait! I'm waiting. Abby Jean's telling me to wait. That would be fun, says Abby Jean, if we pick the book and you read it during the sprint. Yes, she's asking Kristen now because Kristen was the one who said sprint. So, yeah, Kristen, are you okay with pushing through so that we can pick one and then I can spend the sprint? Okay, cool. She says she's game. Okay, so we'll push on through. We're going to do the final four, leaving us with one, and then I will start that one during the sprint and report back. Okay, so now we're going to do occupation. And okay, one is a sports romance and the other is a legal. They're attorneys, both of them. Sports or the law. Sports says Lisa. Legal says Storm. Okay, so we've got one for sports, one for legal. Legal from Gwen, legal from Abby Jean. Sports, I guess. Kristen says, but we have 2 for sports and 3 for legal. Anyone else want to weigh in before I call it? Kristen feels sports. So now, oh no, not a tie, because we've got 3 for legal and 3 for sports. Come on, you guys. I'm going to break this tie. I'm going with sports, and I'm going with sports because that's the one where the dude's name was Yale. So I'm breaking the tie in favor of my alma mater. Here we go. And then the other pair is, oh, this is interesting. Okay, she flip a coin. Well, I went with the one where the male main character's name is Yale, again, because my alma mater. I would have really been a dilemma if it had been Yale versus Central Connecticut State University. I liked Central Connecticut State University better, so I would have voted for that. That's usually not a person's name. Okay, and now we have these are the FMCs. One of them, in one book, she's a weaver, and in the other book, she is a cookbook writer. So Weaver, the cookbook writer. Weaver or cookbook writer? Cookbook, says Kristen. Abby Jean says cookbook. Lisa says cookbook. 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 Okay. Everybody wants the cookbook. So that means we only have 2 left. And now we're going to go with female main character's name. So we have Kira, Kira, or Daphne. Daphne or Kira? Kira or Daphne? Kira or Daphne? Daphne. Kira. 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 Daphne. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 for Kira and 3 for Daphne. Okay, I'm going to break this tie in favor of a tie. Read the synopsis. Oh, no. I am going to put my thumb on the scale. I am going to break the tie with a personal preference. Well, I guess I'll flip a coin. Yeah, I'll flip. I don't have any coins. I put them. No, you choose. You're reading it. You decide. Yeah, I couldn't find a coin because trust your gut. Abby Jean says you knew which one right away. Trust your gut. Okay. Here's the thing: is that I am actually breaking precedent because one of those finalists was the one with the dude named Yale, but I'm not voting for that one. I am going to do this one. Daphne, the cookbook writer, wins. A Dangerous Sentiment by Lynn Erickson. And I will read the synopsis and then go off and read for a half an hour. She knew too much. Oh, it's by Lynn Erickson. She knew too much for her own good. Daphne Farway's fiance, a Secret Service agent, was dead. And she was sure his demise had been no accident. But what did a dyed-in-the-wool New Englander, a writer of cookbooks, know about the Secret Service? Daphne was finding out plenty, and she had to let Wes Lennox know. Oh, Wes LaRue know fast. See, I have there's a branch of my family with the surname Lennox, and they're from Cape Cod too. Okay, she had to let Wes LaRue know fast. Though she had only just met Wes, her fiance's magnetic partner, she felt she could trust him. Wes felt the same way about Daphne. He had to protect her, to stay close by, even though instinct warned him to back off. Only 3 weeks remained to uncover motives, to snare a traitor, to fall in love. Woohoo! Abby Jean's happy I made a decision. Kristen's like, woo! Okay, so we're gonna sprint for a half an hour while I get a start. Abby Jean says, OMG, that sounds so fun. Yeah, that's why I decided to pick this one. So yeah. So we're gonna sprint for half an hour and I will get a start on that and report back. Sounds good, says Storm. Thank you. I think it should be a good time. So we're sprinting until 18 minutes past the hour. Is that how math works? Sure, you bet. Why not? Okay, I'm not going to be listening to. I'll put the radio. The link for the radio station will be here. I'm not going to be listening to it because I'm going to be reading, and I don't like to listen to music while I read. It's just too distracting. So there we go. Put that up there, and I will report back in a half an hour. Okay. Should be coming back from the sprint now. Did everybody have a nice sprint? Or not? Mm. I got to page 56 out of 304. Lisa says, it was good. I got my notes sent off since I'm off Thursday and Friday. Ooh, a long weekend. Are you going anywhere or staycation or? Anyway, so I got to page 56 out of 304. And, ooh, found a couple of interesting notes. Okay, so what's happening so far? Kristen says, I started my tag video and I'm trying to finish my traveling book. I really dislike the FMC. Ooh. And Lisa says, Thursday is just a mental health day, feeling the burnout. And Friday, I have to get an MRI done. Well, gee, that's not really a fun vacation. Mine was good. Did some reading. How was it? It's pretty good so far. I'll get to that in a second. Stormy says 76% into Death Squad. Is that Men's Adventure? Or is it a light comedy of manners? Okay, so anyway, page 56. And I apparently lied to you good people. I have broken trust so many different ways. I thought it was Cape Cod because there was reference to Woods Hole, but it turns out she went to Woods Hole because she was coming from Martha's Vineyard. So Woods Hole is the ferry landing for getting the ferry from Martha's Vineyard to the mainland. So that's so Martha's Vineyard, not Cape Cod. Let's see. Yes, Executioner number 2. I have not been able to get my hands on Executioner number 1 yet. I'll work on it. I mean, I can get it on, I don't know if I can get it on Kindle. It might be on Kindle, but you know, anyway. So what's happening is it starts in Boston because she goes to Boston from Martha's Vineyard. Her fiance has been dead for a few weeks. And before he died, he confided in her in violation of various security protocols. He had found out that somebody from the Secret Service agency in Boston was sharing information with a Russian at the consulate. And so this is 1986. So we have the young, dynamic reformer Secretary General of the Communist Party in the Soviet Union. So this guy is not Gorbachev, but yeah, he is Gorbachev, but he has a different name because they don't want to use a real person. But yeah, he's coming to Boston to meet with the president. They're going to meet in Boston for some reason. And so the Secret Service in Boston is in charge of security arrangements for the Soviet Secretary General. And her fiance saw somebody sharing the security plans with somebody from the Russian consulate, and it's somebody who is known to be a hardliner, like a Soviet hardliner. So basically somebody who would probably like to see a reforming Secretary General like be unalived, assassinated, because he wants the Soviet Union to be like more hardcore and not so much making nice with the West. And then so he sees this happening, and he confides in his fiance that he saw this. He tells Daphne that, but he doesn't tell her who he thinks it is, because he doesn't know, or he doesn't, I don't know exactly, for reasons of plot convenience. So anyway, and then he gets killed in what is staged to look like a burglary gone wrong in his apartment, but she is suspicious. So she goes in to talk to his boss. And as she's trying to talk to his boss about this, she realizes, oh my gosh, what if it is his boss? What? What? I can't tell this guy what's going on. So she just kind of like, I don't think he was really killed. I don't think he died from a burglary. I think he was deliberately murdered because of this counterfeiting case he was working on. And and so then she ends up meeting with her fiance's partner, the guy who was working with him on the counterfeiting case. And they've never met before. They end up going out for lunch, and she tells him the full story because she knows her fiance trusted him. And so he tells her to go back to Martha's Vineyard, and now everybody's going to know that she talked because for various reasons. Anyway, so he's going to set it up so she has somebody to act as a bodyguard while he goes off and tries to figure out who was leaking this information. So she lives in this big old house, like this 20-room house on Martha's Vineyard with her mom, who is a vital 55 and a widow or divorce. I think she's widowed. I think Daphne's dad died. So this guy who's coming to be their bodyguard is like in his early 60s. So her mom is kind of like, I wonder if he's cute. He's certainly age appropriate. Anyway, so, but there were a couple of things I noticed here that kind of made me laugh. Let's see. Okay, so this is the second chapter, which is from his point of view. What's this dude's name? Wes. It's an historical without being an historical. Yes, at the time it wasn't an historical, but now it is. Yes. Nice point. Like it. So he's thinking about her. He felt he almost knew her thanks to Brady. He even knew all about her mother. And he knew that she and Brady had been sweethearts since their early teenage years. He even knew from a night on the town with Brady that Daphne wore a C-cup bra. Now that is some very, very high school locker room treat. So she's grieving her fiance and falling in love. Well, she's not falling in love yet, but she is grieving her fiance. Yeah, I think she's going to have some quick emotional turnaround. But she has, so I can just picture these grown men. They're supposed to be in their 30s. Well, actually, I think the fiance was her age since they were high school sweethearts. So he was like in his mid 20s, and this guy is in his 30s. So the fiance is like, hey, you know what my fiance's got? She's got C cup. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that's a strange way to interact with your temporary partner. My fiance, she's a girl. You wouldn't know her. She lives in Martha's Vineyard. Oh, and then his Wes's sister-in-law, Nancy, at 38, was still very youthful and attractive. Yes, because mostly when people are 38, they're hags. Abby G says, I have been noticing childish behavior in a lot of characters lately. And Kristen says, that is none of your business, sir. Those are her booby holders. As my grandmother, who was from Cape Cod, well, actually close to Cape Cod, Plymouth County, used to call them over-the-shoulder boulder holders. Yes, I get this figure that I have from somewhere. Okay. You know what my fiance has? She has boobies. Weird. Okay, so she's 38 and this is still youthful and attractive. And let's see. And there was, oh yeah. And then his 7-year-old niece is having a birthday in a few days and she wants a Cabbage Patch doll. I want a Cabbage Patch doll, Uncle Wes. I wouldn't buy one of those ugly things for my worst enemy, said Wes. They're not ugly. Yes, sweetie, they are very ugly. Abby Jean is laughing. So Cabbage Patch dolls. Oh, and then this whole thing about the computers where they're like, it's back when you actually had to like be in the same room as the computer in order to access it. The computer. After 40, it's just downhill. She's 38. So I think it's after 35. It's just like, how dare she be attractive? LOL. I say we have you read a book to us. I may do that sometime. Kristen says, Cabbage Patch Kids were my fave. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I was a little old for Cabbage Patch Kids. Also, I'm more of a Raggedy Ann person, as you may well know, have noticed. I just never cottoned on to Cabbage Patch Kids. But Raggedy Ann, as you know, I have a lot of them, some of which are relatively recent acquisitions, like within the last few weeks. Okay, so that's okay. So anyway, so now he is saying he's going to go off and investigate the three guys that he thinks it might be any one of these three guys, including the guy she talked to in the first place, the fiance's boss. And also there's a guy who was originally from Hungary, and he's like, is he like secretly still a communist or something? Which is funny because I actually, when I was in high school in the 80s, Colonel Varosi, uh, his son was in some of my classes. Colonel Varosi was Hungarian, and he actually was originally Hungarian. He was a colonel in the U.S. Army, citizen and everything. And he actually came to the U.S. as a teenager because his entire family fled the Hungarian Revolution in 1956. This is an uprising of Hungarian citizens against Soviet occupation. And there was a huge crackdown, huge humanitarian crisis. A lot of people managed to get out, a lot didn't, and it was just horrible. It was just absolutely horrible. So I think there were a lot of people who left Hungary in that time, and were definitely not loyal to the Soviet Union. In fact, they hated the Soviet Union for what they did to Hungary. So I always wonder, Gwen says, I always wonder about the value of mentioning current cultural icons. Well, what's interesting is a lot of those like books, they hardly ever mention specifics, like especially Harlequin Presents, they don't really mention music very specifically, or if they mention music, it's something like John Denver or something that just most people, would agree that that's a kind of a classic even back then. But I remember once I was reading one of these, and it was like the one of the characters really liked Susie Quattro, and I was like, well, that is a really surprisingly specific reference for those kinds of category romances back then. However, in this book, they make a point of saying, oh, it's the 80s. Oh, it's 1986, a couple of different times. So like Gwen was saying, or actually it's still Gwen who's saying this. So it is the text itself is very specific about reminding you that it takes place at a specific moment. It happens to be the year that the book was published, but it's an historical without being an historical. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. And it's only 3:30, but like I said, I kind of wanted to go kind of short today because Tara and B having their live sprints at their live stream with sprints at 7:00 Eastern, which is in about 3.5 hours, and I don't want to burn out on live stream here. I mean, I'm not going to be on camera for that, of course. That's just the two of them, but I do want to be there if I don't fall asleep first. So I think I'm going to call it short today, but I will be continuing to read the book, and I will kind of talk about it some more next week. And I have a whole bunch of books that I've been acquiring over the last couple of months that I haven't hauled on during a live stream yet. I could do that or come up with something else. So I appreciate your joining me for this abridged midweek motivation. I will see you. Well, I'll hopefully be in Tara and B's live stream tonight, and definitely back for midweek motivation next week. Sounds good, says Lisa. Thanks for doing the brackets. That was fun. It was fun. and I get to read this book. And like I said, I'll let you guys know next week how I got on with it, and I'll mark any other pages that need to be shared, and then maybe I can, over the next week or so, between now and next week, figure out how I want to select the next book. With the way those two talk, who knows how much sprinting will be had, says Gwen. Well, yeah, there is that. There is that indeed. Okay, well, thank you all for joining me again. And if you're watching this back later, thank you for doing that. And I will see you next week for more midweek motivation.